Welcome everybody to my next combat moves tutorial, and this one is going to be about evasive maneuvers in the bf109. So first of all, performing evasive turns in the bf109 in an energy fighter against English angle fighters is a very bad idea. So if you are going to perform very hard turns and you hope your enemy is going to lose you, or this is going to give you any advantage, you are on the wrong side of actions. This is not going to help you. Your followers, the English fighters, are better at turning, and it's not your strength in this plane to perform turns. So do not try to lose or win against your enemy who is on your 6 by performing any kind of evasive turns. The first thing that's going to help you actually is to stay fast and change your course slightly about every 2 seconds. This is going to prolong the time that you are going to survive, and it's going to make your follower waste his ammunition. If you are changing your course slightly while staying fast, he's going to fire at you at a moderate distance, and in most cases he's going to waste 3 times as much ammunition if he's willing to hit you. And he is going to hit you anyways, but you are going to survive a whole lot longer. And in this time that you are going to survive longer, you are going to help yourself and your team, because he's going to be stressed and annoyed because he's wasting his ammunition, and he's going to be concentrated on you. And maybe there's going to be a friendly who's going to help you, and even if there's nobody coming, you distracted him for a longer time and you made him waste his ammunition. This is good for you and good for your team. You can advance this course changement strategy of prolonging your survival time by adding in barrel rolls. If you are adding in barrel rolls while still changing your course slightly about every 2 seconds, and you combine it a little bit, you're going to be an even more difficult target to hit, and he's going to need maybe 4 times as much ammunition to kill you. Of course, he will still be able to shoot at you, and he will still be able to kill you if he's a good pilot, but like I said, it's going to take a whole lot longer, and he will need 4 times as many bullets. Now we are going into the a little bit more difficult maneuvers that are going to get you more on the winning side. Until this point, I've only showed you strategies to prolong your survival time and making your enemy waste his ammunition. Now we are going into some movements, some maneuvers that can make your enemy overshoot you. So, the first thing, the typical thing to make an enemy overshoot you is using an airbrake, of course. And I'm not talking about an airbrake that you are doing with some kind of flap or flaps. It's the kind of airbrake that you are doing if you are moving your side towards your direction, your flying direction, and you are braking because of the air drag of your side, which is going to perform as if it was some kind of braking sail. So when I'm flying straight like this, I'm only producing air drag right now with my nose, with the tip of my wings, and with the front of my wings. So with the front silhouette of my plane. When I'm performing the air brake, I want to use my side, and it's going to look like this. Now my side is producing a lot of air drag, and my speed is getting very slow, very fast. You perform this by using your rudder, for example to the left, and pulling the stick a little bit to the right, and in the down right corner, so towards you and a little bit to the right, while using the rudder at the same time. I'm going to show you the effectiveness of this maneuver. If you look at the airspeed, I'm going to go to about 400 kilometers now. So now I'm quite fast. And this can also help you very much if you are approaching an airfield and you are too fast. It's very effective. Within a few seconds you are going to lose 200 kilometers of your speed. So take a look at the speed right here. I'm at 400 kilometers per hour. Now I'm starting with the air brake. It's were about 4 seconds, and I lost 200 kilometers per hour within 4 seconds. And this is extremely effective. Very many bad pilots are going to overshoot you if you're performing this correctly. Practice it a little bit, and also in non-combat situations, when you are approaching an airfield, for example, this is going to be very helpful for you. The next thing that you can combine with this air brake tactic is the so-called Hartman Rolla. Hartman was a famous ace in World War II, and he invented this tactic, this maneuver. What you want to do is use your rudder like in the air brake, but you are not pulling the stick towards you to compensate a little bit. You instead are going to push the stick into the opposite direction of your rudder direction. So for example, when I'm using my rudder to the left, I'm going to push the stick into the upper right corner. If I'm using the rudder to the right, I'm going to push the stick into the upper left corner. So and it should look like this. This maneuver, very counterintuitively, is not as dangerous as it looks. You are going to be flying very steadily in the air, and you're not going to lose your airflow, so you are not going to stall if you perform this maneuver. You can do it for a very long time, and I only had to stop here after maybe 5 spins because I was getting too slow. And this maneuver achieves 2 things. You are a very difficult target. The possibility for your enemy, for your follower, to lose you is quite high, especially if he's a bad pilot. And on the other side, you are losing much of airspeed. So he's either going to lose you or overshoot you, and at least you're going to be a very difficult target. You can combine this with the air brake. So for example, do a little bit of air braking first, then being a more difficult target, performing some kind of roll, going into the air brake once again, and by combining these 2 movements, the air brake and the roll, you can maybe fool your enemy and make him overshoot you. You need to practice this a little bit. Maybe you want to practice with a friend. Each one of you 2 guys could use some training ammunition, and you can train these evasive maneuvers and try to make your follower overshoot you. Of course, in addition, it's also very useful to have a good feeling for the throttle. When it's the right time to reduce the throttle, when it's the right time to go back on the throttle again. So, the next maneuver. This maneuver that I'm going to show you right now is a very, very good maneuver. This is the one that is definitely my favorite, and it's working in extremely many cases, even if your follower, your attacker, is a good pilot. The perfect situation to perform this one is when you are getting approached by an enemy at higher airspeeds. For example, if someone is performing boom and zoom on you. So you are flying, you hear someone, you see, oh, I'm getting attacked from an advantageous angle for him. He is having a lot more energy. So I'm waiting now for the perfect situation, maybe 5 to 6 seconds before he's going to fire. I'm rolling my plane over. Instead of pulling now, as it would be expected, like I do it right here, I'm pushing the plane into the opposite direction. What this does is that your enemy sees you. He's at his advantageous position. He's going into the attack. Then he sees you rolling your plane over. So he's going to think, okay, you are going to perform an evasive turn. He himself is going to roll his plane over too to follow your evasive turn. He's going to lead a little bit to cut the corner of your curve, and then he's going to be confused because you are not going to appear behind his nose. Normally you should now appear behind the nose of the plane, getting into the crosshair if he is leading correctly. But this is not happening, and he's going to be confused. He's look where you are, and then he's finally going to realize, okay, you fooled him. You did not turn into this direction, but you pushed the plane into the other one. And because you are going to disappear behind his nose, he's not going to even realize this immediately. So in this situation where he's pulling for the lead to get into your evasive turn, he's not going to see you because his own nose of his plane is going to be in the way, and in the way of the line of sight. And this is the reason why this strategy is so effective, because even a good pilot is not going to be able to tell immediately if you are fooling him or if you really are going to perform this evasive turn. And then when he realizes that you are fooling him, it's too late, and he did not even see you at this point in time. For you it's going to look like this. You see him approaching, waiting for the perfect time to fool him, pulling over, but now pushing instead of pulling. He's overshooting you, you're pulling again, getting into his tail, giving a few shots, and maybe you're going to even hit a lucky strike, because he's going to be very fast, he's going to overshoot you, and you can shoot a little bit at him. Sometimes you can get a lucky hit, but at least you will survive this attack and not being hit. A very good way to outmaneuver someone who's approaching you with high airspeeds, and even if he's at about your airspeed, it's still a good maneuver. But the perfect situation is like I described it. The next maneuver, which is very effective, you can also watch it at my latest and first JG26 video that I made. At the end, when I'm alone against multiple targets, I have a follower, and there I'm using this strategy. I'm gaining a little bit of airspeed in some kind of dive, and then I'm pulling the machine up again. And while I'm climbing up, I'm changing the course and make very harsh scissor movements, like this. It's going to look like I'm performing very bad scissor movements, but the real idea is to lose as much speed as fast as possible while performing this course changing climbing movement. And it's very successful to perform this, because it's looking like you would perform some kind of very strange scissor movements, and very many pilots are going to overshoot you. And if you want to look how it should be looking successfully against an enemy, go ahead and watch the JG26 movie. I will put a link so you can look at this situation. So now we have nearly all the possible evasive maneuvers covered. One last thing that I want to show you is a very, very difficult maneuver. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to explain it to you in a way that you are going to be able to understand it, because you need a lot of feeling for this maneuver, and it takes extremely a lot of practice. It's very not easy to explain it, but if I should explain it, I would tell you, imagine yourself to be a bicycle driver who wants to climb a hill. This hill in this case, of course, is only imagined because there are no hills that I'm climbing with this plane. But imagine being a bicycle driver who is having a hill in front of him, and he wants to have just as much momentum that he would need to climb this hill to the tip of the hill, and on the tip of the hill come to a stop. So you don't want to have any more momentum and not any less momentum. Having the perfect airspeed for the perfect imagined hill to climb is the first basic idea. In my movie Close Encounter, I'm using this maneuver, and if you want to look at it, how it should look successfully, you can go ahead and click the link that I'm going to add in right here, and I'm now going to explain you the thought process behind it. The first idea I already told you. You want to have exactly as much momentum as you need to get to this tip of the imagined hill. So having your enemy in your sight, you want to never lose track of your enemy in this situation, and you're going into a climb and you add some kind of fooling trick. The fooling trick in this situation is that you are going to change your course into a curve like this, pull a little bit longer, but you are going to correct this movement again to get leveled again. And your follower, of course, once again sees you turn your plane and of course he's going to turn his plane too to follow your movement. And this is something you are using while performing this maneuver in addition. So not only am I going to lose my speed on the top of the hill, I'm also willing to manipulate his movement. By changing my course slightly, he will going to change his course slightly now too and go into this way of having the plane in the air, but I'm going to correct my course again to get leveled again. But I'm doing this very calm and very slightly, so he doesn't see it. And then I'm on the tip of the hill, reducing the throttle a little bit. Ideally, I'm going to be at about 200 kilometers per hour when he's going to overshoot me in the manipulated way that I wanted him to overshoot me. He's going to be in some kind of turn, because he followed my movement, my fooling movement that I did earlier, which I already corrected back and got from the throttle, got on the tip of the hill. And if you combine all these things, it's going to look like in the movie Close Encounter. It's going to be very difficult for you to use this trick, and of course there's some luck involved also, but if you are using this, it's going to work extremely well, even against good pilots, and they will overshoot you. You will be very slow, so you will get one chance to hit them, or maybe two, and then you're going into a stall in many cases. And you're going to have to pull your plane out of the stall again. And if you hit him with this maneuver, you are in a pretty good shape, and he's going to be totally shocked. The last thing is performing an evasive stall at the perfect timing. And this is one little hint that I'm going to give you, and it's very important in all of the maneuvers that I showed you, that you have a feeling for your enemy. You know the perfect distance to perform these evasive maneuvers, because if you are performing them too late or too early, it's not going to help you, but it's going to help your enemy. For example, if you are doing an air brake when the enemy is 400 to 500 meters away, it's not the right point, it's not the right time. He's going to have an even easier target because you are using this trick. You are going to be easier to approach, you're going to be an easier target because you're getting slower, and it doesn't help you in any way. So having the perfect timing for these tricks, like the Airbrake, like the Hartman Rolla, like the other ones, is just when he's going to be about ready to fire. So at 100 to 200 meters away, this is the time to perform any kind of maneuver. Having the perfect timing is the most important thing in evasive maneuvers. And once again, remember that you are flying in an energy fighter, and just turning and trying to outturn your enemy, which is a Spitfire or a Hurricane, isn't going to help you. The only reason to perform an evasive turn is when someone has an energy advantage and is falling down on you at great speed, and he won't be able to pull as hard because his wing is going to fall off if he pulls too hard. This is the only time when I'm going to perform a normal evasive turn in the 109. Every other time I'm using the fooling trick, the Hartman Rolla, Airbrake, or whatever. All those tricks that I told you. And never forget that you are flying an energy fighter in the bf109. So I hope this helped you a little bit. Thank you for watching, and in addition I want to excuse myself for having this video so delayed. I wasn't in the position to upload a video. I had some videos pre-prepared, but I wasn't at home, and these videos were in bad quality, and it would still have taken me about 4,000 minutes to upload one single one of them. So I decided to wait a little longer and give you those videos in better quality. I hope you can excuse this, and I hope we see each other in the next tutorial. So, see you in the skies.